I'm Pete Wright.
And I'm Andy Nelson.
Welcome to The Next Reel. When the movie ends,
our conversation begins.
The bucket of blood is over. Life is an obscure hobo bumming a ride on the omnibus of art.
The artist, the poet, the figure model who loves to show it.
You suppose he could be physically attracted to her?
No, man, he ain't the type. He don't get enough vitamin E.
All these are beat. All these you'll meet in A Bucket of Blood.
Let us make the scene. Crazy.
Come, enjoy yourself. Where the hilarious enjoy the horrifying in A Bucket of Blood.
No, you're gonna shoot me! Don't shoot!
Come to the land of living dreams, where realists dream of the unreal.
Walter, you've done something to me. Something deep down inside of my prana. Oh, Walter, I want to be with you. You're creative.
Beatniks at their bawdiest. The creative urge at its most primitive.
I'm deeply moved, and I shall compose a poem.
Love is art. Art is love. It's the weirdest and the wildest.
I don't want to make statues anymore. I want to get married. To you.
Yeah, that's right, Andy. That's right. It's Beatnik Day on The Next Reel.
Beatniks and the art society, art culture. Yes.
Had you seen this movie, Bucket of Blood?
No, we talked about it a little bit in our first of our Roger Corman member bonus episodes that we did when we did Little Shop of Horrors, because of many of the different elements that were connecting these two, as far as like using the same sets, and just like Dick Miller is in both of them. And so there were some elements like that we talked about this a number of times, but yeah, now we're getting a chance to actually look at it and talk about it.
I was delighted by this movie.
Yeah.
It was a joyous expression of death and clay.
Were you sick from laughing, as the poster?
Right.
Yeah.
It's a funny thing because, I guess in the era, it's not much of a horror movie, right? It's much more of a sort of, I don't know, thrillery, mystery kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, they set it out to be comedy horror. And I suppose like in the 1959 sense, it's horror, but by today's standards, it's really kind of just comedy.
Yeah. So where do you want to start? You want to talk about Dick Miller and how amazing he is? Getting a central role?
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to see Dick Miller in a role like this. He did have some lead roles off and on through his career from the 50s all the way. I mean, you could say I guess it's not like a leading role, but still supporting. But you look at something like Gremlins 2, he ended up, I'm trying to remember that, because the first one, he's kind of a supporting player. He's the one with the snowplow in town, and he ends up surviving. And I'm trying to remember if he ended up getting much more of a bigger role, but he's the one who ends up dealing with the flying gremlin outside. So right. I think Joe Dante just loved using him in every project of his. And so once Joe Dante latched onto him, like in Piranha, he kind of just ended up popping up in everything. But yeah, it's really, I think, mostly the early films, I think, where he had more of a chance to actually be a lead. And I think that's what's so fun to see here, because, I mean, he's a fun, like, he's always been a great character actor, but getting to see him helming a film, like, it was just great to see him playing that role.
He's an adorable doofus. And that's, I think, what makes his deeds so acceptable. Right?
Yeah.
Like, at no point until the very end I didn't grudge him anything that he was doing. Like, he accidentally killed the cat. He was protecting himself, I guess, and he killed the police officer, the undercover cop. It was right until the end when you realize, oh, right, he really is the doofus that everybody said he was all along. And now he believes, he's so broken that he believes he'll be famous if he can chase down this woman and make her a statue. That's when things start to turn for my sort of relationship with this character as a member of the audience. But up until then, that's kind of the sleight of hand of the movie, is that he is such a lovable and sort of put upon guy in this universe of the art club, the Yellow Door, that I kind of am in favor of him when it becomes a bit of a vengeance crusade through some of the movie.
Yeah, I think he plays that well. His character is kind of a stereotypical character that we see in films. Like, he's kind of the struggling wannabe who he's working as a busboy at this Beatnik poetry coffee shop, and is really drawn to the artists and the people that he sees performing here. Like, there's this guy who reads this poem, and he's like already like remembering all the lines from it and latching onto it. And so it's clear that he is drawn to that, but he's also kind of like this doofus character. Like, it's kind of clear like he doesn't probably have the wherewithal to actually figure out how to actually become an artist. And it really is just this happenstance of accidentally killing this cat and then making this, covering it in clay and making a statue out of it that leads him on this path to try figuring out where can this lead, when he realizes, oh, I'm an artist now, what's next? And he starts kind of creating more and more of these statues from these people that he accidentally or purposefully ends up killing. And I think that was kind of interesting to watch that transformation of that put upon struggling person on the lower echelons of kind of this sort of group who is drawn to the possibilities within it, right?
Right. Right. And I think the enabling behavior in the universe around him is also of note. It contributes to his sort of maladaptive ideation. The fact that we have, Leonard, the owner of the bar, who doesn't just step up and say no, right? You've done a bad thing. He tries first to profit off of Walter's work, and then he tries to loosely guide Walter, right? Maybe let's do a different kind of art. Freeform. Yeah, let's try freeform. Which is such a delightful thing, right? But it makes him sort of complicit in the experience for not just stepping up and saying no, for being a profiteer in some way, because those people are still dead. Whether or not Walter moves to freeform, those people and the cat are still dead. And that's a bad thing.
Well, and he clearly realizes his ability to be a profiteer with all of this, right? And that's, I think, his turning point as essentially another of the people who are taken in by the possibilities with this, because he is going to turn Walter in when he realizes that the cat is like, he accidentally drops it and you see the fur poking out and he realizes the real cat is inside of it. I know. I was just like, how long before these really smell? Like, it's not going to be that long. But then these patrons of his coffee shop are interested. One of them's already taken it home to see how it fits in their house. Another one keeps upping his offer. And finally, when he gets to $500, and that's the point when Leonard turns and is like, I can make a profit out of this. And when it comes to actually paying Walter for the work, he gives him $50. And I think that was what was interesting, is like, okay, everybody has their price, Walter wanted to be an artist, and his price is he's willing to kill in order to get the fame and, the money, although he's completely clueless as to what sort of money he should be getting. He's excited by the $50 without realizing that there's much more potential than that. Leonard is fine going along with all of this as long as he's making off with a ton of money too. And so it's interesting to kind of watch him make that shift. And even by the time he's pushing for, what you need to do is take your time with this and build a collection so that we can have a show. It could take years without realizing that like he's getting these done like one a night over the course of like a week, that it doesn't take long before he's ready for a show. And so it's funny how Leonard is excited, but also isn't really paying attention to some of the realities himself.
Well, and if you've ever worked with clay, I have limited experience working with clay, mostly back to my senior year in high school. I was a big clay head. And what I remember from there is 1, clay is extremely heavy. 2, it does not dry overnight. So I just kept waiting for these things to start falling apart.
All right, cool cats and kittens, it's your main man Andy, and I'm here to flip your wig with a proposition that'll make your bongos go boom. What you just dug was a wild little taste of our crazy scene through Roger Corman's A Bucket of Blood, but I'm afraid that's all the jive you're gonna dive. There's a whole pad of bonus tracks out there waiting to be flipped, and the only way to get in on this gig is by becoming a member, you dig? Picture this, a vast uncharted sea of exclusive episodes, stretching out before you like a never-ending jazz riff. As a member, you'll have the keys to this celluloid city, and man, is it a gas. Every moon, you'll get to wrap your ears around a brand new bonus episode, each one a raw, uncut odyssey into the heart of the flickering screen. You'll also have ad-free access to our entire library, so you can wander through our back catalog like a beat poet on a midnight stroll. And if that wasn't enough, we've got pre-show and post-show chats that'll make you feel like you're right there in the smoky depths of the coffee house with us, trading verses and sipping on some black java. But here's where things get really wild, Daddy-O. As a member, you'll have the power to shape the scene. You'll get to cast your vote on the flicks we rap about, ensuring that our bonus episodes are always grooving to your beat. It's like having your own personal band of cinema cats, ready to jam on the perfect movie discussion just for you. And if you're looking to trade fours with some fellow film aficionados, our Discord community is the place to be, man. It's like a virtual coffee house where cinephiles can gather to swap stories, share insights, and maybe even plan a few celluloid happenings of their own. Just remember, leave your squares at the door. So why be a mere face in the crowd when you could be snapping your fingers with the in-crowd? Slide on over to truestory.fm/join, look for the Next Reel family of film podcasts, and sign up today. It's just a 5-spot a moon, or a double nickel for a whole year. That's a small price to pay for a first-class ticket to Cinema Nirvana, baby. And that, my cool cats, is where we'll have to cut out on you for now. If you want to hear the full uncut version of our far-out journey through A Bucket of Blood, you know what to do. Join the scene, become a member, and let's groove our way through the celluloid underground together. Trust me, it's a trip you won't soon forget. Until then, stay hip, baby. Yeah.